What's up, tea drinkers? Who's ready to spill? Welcome to The Tea with KG, hosted by your girl, Kaylee Grace. Here you'll find your weekly boost of real talk mixed with laughter, healing, and all of those vulnerable, messy moments in between. The Tea with KG is a safe space for you to show up exactly as you are. We are here to share real-life stories from around the globe and be a community of love, joy, and celebrating life. This is a real deal show, so there will be coarse language and sensitive topics discussed. The most beautiful stories oftentimes emerge from the darkest of places, and we're here to explore it all. There's room for everyone at this tea time, so grab your drink of choice, spark it up, or just relax and soak it up. Cheers, and let's spill. What's up, tea drinkers? We are back with another episode of The Tea with KG. I'm your host, Kaylee Grace, and this week I have another amazing guest joining us. We've got an East Coast marketing babe, Meagan Kozak, in the house. How are you?
I am lovely tonight. Thank you.
Yay! So Meagan is a social media manager. She's also founder of Meagan Kozak Media, but I will get her to explain all of that in her own words with the good old, who are you and what do you do?
Okay, I love this question because
Loaded
I am
question.
so many things. I'm a multi-passionate person. Um,
Cheers to that, girl. I
yeah,
feel that in
absolutely.
my soul.
But yeah, so Megan Kozak, born and raised on the East Coast. So I was actually born in Fredericton, New Brunswick, moved to St. John, New Brunswick about 6-ish years ago now to finish my university degree. I'll dive into that whole fiasco later. But after I graduated, decided to stay here as a solo. All my friends had left at that time, so I just decided to stay. And it was in the middle of COVID. Again, I'll dive into that as well. But yeah, now living my dream with my incredible boyfriend, our dog, our cat. I have a horse.
She's a
Running a
girl after
business.
my own heart.
Yeah,
Yes, it's like, yep.
I'm an animal lover.
We are very
So yeah,
aligned.
we are absolutely.
I love it. So, as we all know in the human experience, we all have a journey. We all go through all of the things to get us where we are. And that's one of the things I love so much about this platform, this podcast, is like hearing the story, because I just feel like it opens us up and we gain compassion and understanding for each other. And also, it helps us realize, wait a minute, I'm not alone. Like, this person knows what's up. They've been through this too. And it's so inspiring because maybe people have dreams of doing exactly what you're doing. And they're like, well, how do I get there? So let's dive in.
So I always take my journey back to like high school. When I graduated, I was like, no, I'm going to stay in my hometown. I was a university volleyball player, so I'd gotten a scholarship to play at the university in Fredericton. And I was like, I want to be a lawyer. Like that was both my parents took criminology degrees. My father was a sheriff. My mom, she works HR now, but again, had the criminology degree. So I was like, yep, I'm going to become a lawyer.
That's it. Yeah.
I did my first year of university at St. Thomas, New Brunswick, doing criminology. I went back the second year and I was sitting in an animal rights class. I remember this so perfectly. So I was sitting in an animal rights class and I was like, no, I hate this. It was the middle of the class. I got up, I walked out of the class, walked right to the registrar's office. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And
You
it
go,
was only
girl.
it was only about a week into the school semester, so it
Okay.
wasn't like it was crazy
I have
into
to
it.
tell you something because it's so funny you're saying that. Literally parallel lives, except mine is further back. But same thing. I was like, okay, I always knew I was creative and I always loved marketing, but
Mhm,
I used to teach swimming and lifeguard. And I was like, I love kids. I could be a pediatrician. Like, I love helping.
mhm.
So legit, same but different. I was in science and I went to the smart people science and I was like, because, I did good in high school, but it's totally different in university. These
Totally
people
different.
were a different level a week. And I was like, hell to the no. I am
Yeah.
not doing this. Sign me up for the commerce and marketing. Like, let's go. I had to add that in because that's just too funny.
Well, and that was my thing. I was like, "This is not for me."
No.
I quickly realized I was like, "I am not the lawyer type." So,
Right.
withdrew, called my mom. I was like, "So, mom," I was like, "I just withdrew from university." And she's awesome. She's like, "That's okay, sweetie." And she's like, "You
You
do
go,
you. You do
girl.
whatever you want to do."
Good mama. I love
I
that.
had a great support system. So I was like, well, I don't really know what I want to do. So I ended up working as a vet assistant at a veterinary clinic.
I could see that.
So I worked for about a year and I was like, okay, this is going good. I was like, I can see myself doing this. And I was like, maybe I'll go back to school to become a veterinarian.
Yeah.
So I I applied to the university in St. John. My old high school volleyball coach was actually the volleyball coach of the university here.
What? What are the
And
chances? That's
yeah, and
amazing.
my two best friends were already here. So they're
Yes.
like, "Come play volleyball here, like just get away." I was like, "Genius." I was like, "Absolutely."
Let's do it.
So, yep, so I applied, I got in, and I moved down and started university all within a week. And I actually kind of felt a little bit bad for my mom because my brother had moved out the exact same week, so they just automatically became empty nesters. So shout out to my mom and dad for
Yes.
for going through that. But yeah, so moved down within a week. UMB St. John is what it's called. So I started here doing biology because I was like, okay, I was a really good vet
Yeah.
assistant. I'm going to become a vet. No, I almost failed out of biology. Like it was one of the hardest courses I've ever taken.
Right?
And
What is
I
it
was
with the
like,
university science? I'm like, what is
right,
this? I was like, I thought I was smart. And then I did
right.
that. I was like,
And I did really well in biology in high school. So I was like, oh,
right?
okay. No,
Yeah.
completely
No.
different. So also shout out to the people who took sciences.
Shout out
You
is
guys rock.
right. They do. They rock
And
hard.
yeah, so basically realized that was also not my calling, but I was always told I was really this is such a roundabout story. So I was always told I was such a really good writer. So I was like, I'm gonna go into English.
Hmm.
English and communications is what I went to go do a double major my second semester at this school. Again, quickly realized English was not my calling. But in that time frame, I had to kind of fill my schedule up and I took an intro to business course and I
Yeah.
completely fell in love. I was like, okay, no, I'm dropping the English part, keeping the
You
communications
knew.
part because that was kind of the I was really interested in that and how kind of
Yes.
humans communicate and how
We're
we
the same person.
read
I
things.
feel the same. Yes. It's
So
fascinating.
I
Like, why
loved
does
it.
the brain
So
do what it does? And like learning all, I
interpret it
feel
the way
you.
it does. Exactly.
Preach. Hmm.
So I dropped the English part, kept the communications part, added marketing. So my
Yes.
degree is technically in marketing and communications. I ended up graduating 2020, so right in the middle of COVID. Again, that's a whole other story.
Right?
But yeah, so that's where I am now, and I took kind of a huge loop of the university career. So it's not like I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I went into university,
Yeah. I
and I
love
love sharing
that.
that story because a
Me
lot of people
too.
there's some people, like, you wanna be a teacher from the get-go,
Hmm.
and honestly, like, I really did think I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I really did think I wanted to be a vet, and then it just no, it was totally not me, and
Right?
now seeing where I am today, like,
It
it
all
all has
lines up.
yeah,
Yes. I
reason, yeah,
love too that you knew quickly within each of those things. Like your intuition was like, nope, nope. I love that because I think it's so, sometimes people, it's hard to listen to that sometimes because then you, of course, your brain comes in and tries to be rational and maybe talk you out of
exactly.
things. But I so believe that like if your gut is saying one thing, don't give your brain a second to tell you no. Like go for
Mhm.
that and lean in because it truly does lead you where you're supposed to be. And it's okay if that doesn't go straight this way. The
100%.
road can be
Yes.
winding. My God, mine's been like a
Yeah.
roller coaster. It's been like all over the place. So I resonate with that so much. And I'm sure so many other people can. And I think
Mhm.
that's such a testament to not giving up on yourself, not like ignoring your inner voice because we always know what's best for us and it can be so challenging when there's other voices saying different things or even if you've lost a little bit of your confidence along the way and you're just not sure. So I love so much that you shared how you got to
Yeah,
marketing and
my windy,
communications.
twisty road.
Right? Oh my
Yeah.
God. And I feel like we all have such a windy, twisty road. I like
Mhm.
again, mine is all over the place. So I totally feel this. So after you graduated, actually, let me ask this first because like I was saying before we hit record, I also marketing, I always knew like I'm not into the financy accounting part of the business
Mhm.
stuff. I'm like, that's boring. I want someone else to do that for me. Let me make things
Mhm.
pretty. Let me talk to people. But I'm so curious. Like in university now with marketing, do they teach social media stuff or like what is it like?
So, I can say personally, so I would have graduated it'd be, like, 3 years ago now. I don't use anything from my degree. Like, I don't
Wow.
use a single there might be, like, 1 or 2 things, but at this point, it's
Hmm.
just, like, it's on my wall right now as a pretty picture,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
nice frame.
Yes,
I mean, it
exactly.
can help me. It does help me in a little bit of like my credibility with some companies that
Mhm.
I'm working with. That's about it. Like I am very self-taught at this point,
Yeah.
with my job, but yeah, there's
I like that.
literally nothing. I was a teaching assistant for it was called marketing on the internet. It was a course, and it was not it was not what you're thinking. Because when I went into it, I was like,
Wow.
"Oh my gosh, we're gonna learn Facebook, we're gonna learn Instagram,
Yeah.
all this stuff." No, we did not learn any of that. So the next year after I took that course, the professor and I, we got along really well. So I ended up becoming their teaching assistant.
Mhm.
And I was like, we need to revamp this course. Like, you need to teach people what's relevant right now and not necessarily what's coming from the textbook. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that continued on after the year I left. But yeah, there might be one thing right now that I use for my
Wow.
degree in my everyday business. Yeah.
That actually makes me feel better because I was like, am I missing a bunch of things? I feel
No.
the same. The things that I think I hung on to or took with me, obviously the experience, loved the whole
hmm
university experience, but it's
hmm
the psychology stuff, like the consumer behavior, like that sort of thing.
hmm
But I also think naturally I like that stuff anyway, so it kind of comes
Yes.
more natural. But that's when I think back, because like communication too, I ace those courses, but I think it's not that you have it or you don't. Of course, you can be
Yeah.
taught, absolutely, but we all have things we're naturally good at, and but of
Yep.
course we can learn all the things. So I love that. I'm like, okay, I'm not totally way off in like old
No,
school
not even
land.
close.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's amazing. So graduated 2020. Did you
Mhm.
know you wanted to be an entrepreneur and start your own business? Like what were you thinking afterwards?
So, no.
Mm.
I actually so my last semester of university, I had gotten a job offer from a marketing agency here in St. John's. So I was like, okay, after I graduate, I'm gonna stay here. Again, my friends were leaving, but I was like, no, like I really like this city.
Yeah,
So I'd signed a new lease on an apartment. I'd gotten the puppy. I kind of you do everything you do when you graduate. But
absolutely.
again, it was 2020, that awesome year.
That year
Um,
of change and
yeah,
so many things. Yes,
yes.
girl.
So the marketing agency ended up coming back to me and they're like, we don't know what's happening with our business. We actually don't have the job for you anymore. So I was like,
Mm.
oh, again, new apartment, new puppy,
Yeah,
everything.
responsibilities.
So
Yeah.
yeah, adulting. I was like,
Yeah.
shit. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So again, rewind a little bit into university. I was taking that marketing on the internet course. The professor was pretty cool. So they took us out for a beer. One of our classes was going out for a beer at one of the local
I love
bars. And
that.
yeah, it was super
That's the
fun.
best class.
So he was like, I just want to get to like know you guys better as like a class and just kind of go out on a super positive note. He's like, I don't want it to not be productive though. So he's like, you have to come to class with a business idea. So I was
Oh.
like, okay. So one, I showed up late, which is actually a little unlike me. Like I'm normally a very punctual person, but I was like half hour late. So I walk in. Some people had already gone around the room saying their business idea, and his thing was if he liked your business idea, if it was his favorite, he was going to buy you a drink.
Love it.
So I walked in. I was like put on the spot. He's like, "You're late. What's your business idea?" And I was like, "Oh crap!" I was like, I was gonna just kind of hear everybody else's and come up with one.
Think of something on
Um,
the fly.
so it's like social media management company. And he's like, elaborate. So I was building a personal brand through university without knowing what I was
Yeah.
doing. Like I was
You
not
always were
intentionally
good. Yeah.
well, I was
Because when
not
did we meet?
intentionally
Like
doing it.
2018, 2019. And I always noticed you
Probably,
had
yeah,
great, I think we bonded over presets one day at the,
probably,
by
yeah,
the river. We were
yeah.
like, you were like, preset? What? I was like, yes, she knows what's
Say
up.
more, say more. Exactly. So I had some people approach me about it before, but again, I didn't really want to kind of go out on my own until I gained some experience.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I was gaining that experience on my own. I just wasn't
Mhm.
registering it. So I told them, I was like, yep, social media management company. In St. John specifically, there's so many small businesses. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what sets my soul on fire is working with small businesses. So he's like, great idea. He's like, you win. He buys me the drink. I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." So, anyways, he did come up to me after. He's like, "I really hope you follow through with this." And I didn't really think much of it at the time, but then again, graduated, didn't have that job anymore. I said, "Okay, what do I do now?"
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my whole company started.
Oh my
A lot of people ask
God.
me, they're like, "How did COVID affect your business?" And I was like, "COVID is the reason I have a business."
Ugh,
So yeah,
I felt
that's
that in my
that's
soul.
kind of how this came about. I did start just freelancing at first,
Mhm.
but then realized like the demand is there. So
Yeah.
registered my business as MK Media, so Megan Kozak Media, and we've just been on fire kind of
Oh
ever
my
since. So
god.
yeah.
And you know what else I love about that? It's like when you do the scary thing and you take a chance, you're rewarded. Like I really truly believe when you do the scary thing,
100%.
if it's meant for you, like if it's in your
Yeah.
alignment, which this obviously is, you are rewarded and like look at you like killing it.
Mhm.
I've seen it since you launched it and like what it looks like now and I'm like, "Oh my
So
god."
different from when I started to
Oh,
now. Like
it's
it's been 3 years now, and I won't lie, like there has been the 2-year like business hump that everybody kind of goes through. Like once you hit that 2 years, like you either make it or you break it.
that's
So we
right.
finally made it over that 2-year hump, and we've just we've been going ever since. So
Oh, it's amazing. So I'm like, let's get into this business. I want to know
mhm.
more because it's so intriguing to me. And it's something I don't know if many people actually know, like what you do on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis. So when you first started, was it purely just like contracts with small businesses? Like, how did it evolve? I guess that's the best way to ask that question.
Yeah. So when I first started, that was kind of my thing. I was like, I just want to manage people's accounts. And again, that really is what it still is.
Yes, that's
So
the
basically, yeah,
base. Yeah.
it is. It's just the need. A lot of people, one, they're so busy working in their business, they really lack the time to work on their business. And
I
that's
feel that.
it's
Yeah.
kind of where we step in and help alleviate that stress.
Yeah, because social media is
So
very time consuming. Like, especially, I have a
oh
little
yeah.
bit of perfectionist to me. So if I'm doing something, I don't do it half-assed. And
hmm
sometimes reels take me forever and I'm sweating by the end of it. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
And
so
each strategy is telling you like you reel a day and TikTok a day and things
yeah,
like that. So
it's like
it
an
is a lot of work at
overload.
this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I do? And I hate being overwhelmed. And that's how I feel
Yeah.
sometimes. I'm like, ah, I'm like, I need one person to tell me what to do.
Yeah. That's kind of where it started. And then I quickly realized, okay, this is working, but I was getting some clients that I was not really like I just didn't fit with them.
That's right.
Um we bumped heads a little bit. I was like, I've studied this. I know what's gonna work right now. I'm on my phone all the time. I'm knowing what's
Yeah.
working, what's not. I'm looking at your numbers. And sometimes we were just bumping heads. So I really had to come up with, okay, who do I want to work with and who do I not want to work with?
Who
Um,
okay, can we say that one more time for the people in the back? Because I think so many people, if they are entrepreneurs, it's like
mhm.
everybody, and it's like, no, sweetie, like not everybody's for you and you're not for everyone. So find the people you align with because
Yep,
that's how you're going to propel forward. Absolutely.
exactly. And I'm glad I got to work with the people that I didn't vibe with because then I
Yes.
got to learn that like the people that I do vibe with.
Yes.
Um, I will say I didn't always have that choice of being like, no, I don't want to work with you.
For sure.
At one
Yeah.
point, I had $6 in my bank account. So I was like,
Yep. You're
I'll
like,
take
bring
anybody.
it.
So there was that, and then I quickly realized, okay, this isn't necessarily feasible for everybody to invest in somebody to manage their account. So I was like, how can I help those people? So
Yeah.
I really realized it with real estate agents. So that was kind of where I wanted to focus for a little bit was to work with real estate agents kind of to me I was like they have such a cool opportunity
Mm,
to really brand themselves differently on social media and to me people do business with people they trust. How do you build that,
1000%.
right? So how do you build
Oh,
that
yeah.
trust? You kind of show the fact that like on social media you spilt coffee on yourself that day. Well, you know
Yes.
what? There's probably 5 other people that follow you who also spilled coffee on themselves that day.
Yes.
You're creating that connection, you're being authentic, you're being real, you're being raw, and that's really what I like to push with a lot of businesses I work with, is because
Yes.
that's what you're gonna create the connection with your audience. So, I was working with a lot of real estate agents, and then I just had so many other people going, "Do you just work with real estate agents?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm seeing the demand again." I was like, "No." I was like, "You know what? Give me all industries."
Yes, come on
So,
in.
yeah, so now I don't just focus on real estate agents. I really focus on small businesses and personal brands as a whole. So
Mm,
my company is working with so many different businesses and so many different industries, which I actually love. I will say on the
yes.
back end of things, it makes things a little tough to create systems that can be duplicable in the same industry. But I think that's fun, and I can pull from the different industries and bring it to the other industry and whatnot. So
Yeah.
right now, kind of to sum it all up, a social media management company and consulting. So we also help small businesses who might not be local with creating their strategy. And basically, we just consult with them and coach them along the way. Right now, I haven't really developed a great system to work with people outside of, because we go in, we create the content for you. We're doing
Oh,
your reels for you. We're
wow.
doing your TikToks for you.
You're doing all the things.
Yeah, so we work
Yeah.
with a lot of local businesses for that, but
Mhm.
I find because that's kind of the biggest issue I run into with a lot of people is the lack of content or
Yes.
not feeling overly confident behind the camera, right?
Mhm.
But and wanting to show up and doing video. So I really push people out of their comfort zones that way.
Yeah.
So right now we're working with a lot of local businesses and doing that, and then working with businesses maybe outside of St. John and New Brunswick specifically in the coaching and consulting and being like, "No, this looks great," or "Do this
Yeah.
behind your video," and really trying to get them to create more content, to create a better story
That's
and whatnot.
right.
So,
And I
mhm,
think that's so key. It's like, even if you get it, strategizing is totally different. Because I feel like I have an understanding, but
mhm,
trying to juggle all the things and then also strategize, I'm done. By the end of the day, my brain is
mhm,
like, I have nothing left to give. And
mhm,
I think that's so key because literally a good strategy, because then you have a formula you can follow. Like, okay, I do this, I do this, I do
mhm,
this. And someone who can tell you, yes, this is working or no, this is not. I think that's so key and so beneficial for so many people
mhm,
across the board because a lot of us are trying to get out of the 9 to 5 to purely be an entrepreneur. But again, that
100%.
time management, I was going to ask you about that too. How do you do
Yeah.
your time management? Because I think I need so much help in that area because I'm too all over the place. And I always am like, give me all your time management tips. And I think multiple people, no matter what field they're in, can benefit from a good
Mhm.
old time management.
Well, I'll be completely honest, I'm not the best at it. But you're like, I will touch on that point of having the strategy. I love to say failing to plan is planning to fail. So that
Yeah.
really, really applies in social media marketing. It's just so complex at this point, and there's different audiences on TikTok compared to Instagram, compared to Facebook,
Yeah.
compared to LinkedIn, compared to YouTube. So many different platforms at this point. So you almost need to have a strategy per platform.
Preach.
And that's what a lot of businesses might be lacking. And again, they're kind of getting to 4 p.m. on a Tuesday or a Thursday and be like, oh shit, I haven't come up with a post for today. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, no, when you create the strategy, when we put the proper plan in place, you know, on June 26th, you're posting about your new coffee
This.
that you're selling. So
Yeah.
yeah, really kind of diving in, and consistency does look different for everybody, but just creating a
Hmm.
consistent strategy and plan that allows it for us to follow for the businesses and for them to kind of feel confident in us. But
Yeah.
also again in our consulting and coaching realm of the business, just allowing them to feel confident in growing their business on social media. So yeah.
Yes,
But time management
absolutely.
wise, I'm not that great. I will
That
say
makes
it.
me feel better though. I'm like, okay, it's not just me because you're killing it. And I'm like, okay.
Well, so I'm really trying to be a morning person. I'm getting better. I ended up hiring a nutritionist and a fitness coach because I was like, again, I was always a university athlete, but now that I'm
Hmm.
not an athlete, I'm like, okay, how do I train just to be healthy?
Yes. It's so funny you say
Which was
that. I
a
had a different guest. She's also was an athlete, and she said the same thing, like
yeah,
rediscovering your athleticism, not with a sport and a coach and everything. It
yeah,
can be a
it's so
challenge.
different.
Yeah.
So different because I'm like, okay, I was always training to be fast. I
Yeah.
was always training to be strong in my lower body. I was a volleyball player, so,
Yep.
training to kind of be able to jump high or move quick,
Mhm.
and now I'm like, "Okay, how do I train to just get
Just
my
be
blood
healthy.
flowing?"
Yeah.
So, that was my thing. I was like, I had a very inconsistent workout plan. Luckily, my boyfriend, he is super good with gym and being disciplined that way, so that did help a
Oh,
lot.
that's so helpful
Um,
because it's like, what is that
Super
saying? Like, you're the
helpful.
average of the 5 people you spend
5
time
people
with.
you're around.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was super helpful, but I still kind of was like, lacking the nutrition because for the longest time I was able to just eat whatever I wanted to
Mhm.
because I was in the gym 7 days a week practicing and it never
Yep.
caught up with me. And
Your
then
body
it
needed
caught
to
up with
fuel.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it caught up with me. So now I'm like, okay, now I need to fuel my body, not just feed it.
Yes.
And that's where, so yeah, I hired a nutritionist too. So those are really helping, but I'm playing into my strengths. So I work really well at nighttime. I'm the
Mhm.
most creative at nighttime. So I sit down and if I need to write a blog post for my website and my membership program, or if I need to kind of write some copy for some clients, that I do it at nighttime because that's when I feel my creative juice is flowing. So I really
Yeah.
try to play into my strengths. Um,
Mm.
and allow myself to just flow with the day.
I love that.
I've
I'm writing
tried
that
being like,
down. Lean into strength.
yeah, so I've tried doing the time blocking of 9:01 to 9:15.
Right?
You're doing this, and it's just not me.
I can't
I
either.
can't
I've
be that
tried.
structured, right?
No.
So I just know I write my to-do list for the day. I always put my toughest one at the top, and then
Mhm.
I just move from there.
Okay, I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
because like I've been trying as of recent to really, because I'm organized in my own way. Like I know what's going on.
Yeah.
If you looked at my planner, you might be like, what the fuck is this? But I know what
Yeah.
it is. And I also find like I don't know if I'll ever get used to being I just like a piece of paper. I like opening my planner and seeing it and
Mhm.
feeling it. I've tried really hard to get used to a digital calendar, but I just don't know if
Mhm.
that's ever going to be my jam. So I'm like you're saying, I'm like, listen to Megan, lean into what feels good, lean into my
Yeah.
strengths. Cause like, yeah, I feel like for me, I love mornings, but I need very peaceful mornings to like
Yeah, you need
lean
slow
in.
mornings. Like,
Yes.
enjoy your morning coffee or
Yes.
tea. And if you want to do a yoga flow, like you have the time, like you're
Yeah.
not waking up to go right into work.
That's
Which
that's
is
it.
yeah, kind of like I felt like I was doing that for the longest time because I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I have so much I need to get done. And my business has grown a lot in the last
Yeah.
few months actually. So I was like on the verge of burnout and
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, this is not gonna be sustainable." I was like, "What works for me and what doesn't?" And that's what I'm gonna go with. It's not what
Yeah.
a book tells me or obviously we can take pieces from it, but
Yeah.
ultimately you develop what's gonna work for you
Well,
and
that's
again, mine's
right.
still in development. It's a fluid way of living,
Oh,
but
I love that.
yeah,
That's more
that's
my
kinda
style. Yeah.
the way I roll. Yeah,
And you know what? Why can't we be successful and do it that way? Like, I think we can. Like, we could do
exactly.
it in our own feminine, go with the flow way. Like, it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
like the patriarch, go, go, go. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
that. I love that
exactly.
so much. Like, I'm really taking a lot from this because sometimes, like, when you are an entrepreneur, you may not hear these stories and you're like, is it just me? Like, am I
Yep.
doing it wrong because I'm not super,
Yeah.
super structured? And it's like, no, you can do you. I love that.
Yeah, and yeah, that's just it's how again, I was trying so hard to fit into a mold and it just was
Yeah.
not working. So, yeah.
Oh, yes, you're saying everything. I'm just like, preach, preach, preach. So, listeners, you do not, I mean, we say this in different contexts all the time, but be yourself and like the
Mhm.
mold isn't for everyone. And I think the way this world is so beautiful is because we're all different and we can lean on each other. And what one person might be great at, maybe we're not, but you're great at something else and you can just do it your
Exactly.
way. And I think as long as you're doing the do, walking the walk and getting it done, if you can do it your own way, you're probably going to be happier that way. Oh, another thing you
Exactly.
said I wanted to touch on. I love that you brought up burnout, like, and that you could feel that in
Mhm.
yourself and recognize that because oh my God, I've been through it very deeply in the past. And it's so funny because I feel like I'm a superstar and I can go, go, go. And it always creeps back up. And I'm like, honey, no, you need to actually rest. There's nothing wrong with that. You need the flow, the yin, the
Mhm.
yang. So it's really great that you know yourself, that you could feel that
Mhm.
and be like, nope, pumping the brakes. We're not doing this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I went into 2023. Again, I was just getting over my 2-year hump. Went into 2023 with I think 3 clients and we've just grown to 14 now. So,
Woo!
yeah, we're not even halfway through the year. So, I actually ended up having to hire a full-time marketing assistant and I have a graphic designer that I just hired on my team and I have an operations manager. So, we went from a team of 1 to a team of 4 in like 4 months.
Honey has a
So,
team. Yes.
we yeah, like, I really did feel that burnout, like, I would sit upstairs and I'd just cry, and I'm not a crier, and Ben, my partner, he would look at me
Yeah.
and he's like, "What is wrong?" And I was like, I can't even put it into words, it's just, like, my body is exhausted, my mind
Yeah.
is exhausted. I mean, I'm walking, I'm doing the talking, but it's
Yeah. But your
shutting
spirit,
down on the
everything.
inside.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of putting the puzzle pieces into place now that I'm feeling so much better and really excited about this growth and not as overwhelmed as I would have been probably a month ago. So,
Oh, exactly. I love that.
mhm,
That's so exciting. Like it makes me so happy like when people go for it and do their own thing and then it thrives and flourishes and like you didn't give
mhm.
up. You had those 2 year like you said the
No,
hump and
yeah.
you were like, "No, I'm not giving up." And look, year 3 and it's like,
It
"Hey,
was tough.
14
Yeah.
accounts, no big deal." Like
Yeah, it was tough. So, and that was kind of my thing too. I really pride myself on meeting businesses where they're at. So there
Yeah.
are definitely a few other agencies in the city that I live in, and each person I kind of talk to, they're like, "Well, do you only give us 30 posts a month?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "Because that's not what you need." So we really work collaboratively that way
Mhm.
in figuring out what's going to work best for them and how we can help them and kind of find that meeting in the middle point. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's we've we've really worked well with the businesses we have, and again, we're growing at a rapid pace. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited as we bring on this coaching and consulting part of business too, because I think it's going to be able to reach just so many more people.
Oh, preach. And I love that
Hmm.
you don't do a cookie cutter thing because, like we've said this whole
No.
episode, we're not all the same. We don't all have the same needs. And you tailor it. You do like a
Yep.
legit, like specialized, unique plan for each person. And I think
Exactly.
that's so key. So
Yeah.
key. And that's
Each
what sets you
business is
apart.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
each business is different. It's not fair for us to come to them with just like, "Yep, this is what we can offer you," when they need something completely different. So, yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
really pride myself on that, and I get really
Hmm.
good feedback from people. So, yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like
Mhm.
that resonates so much with me because just even in the journey of life, like you learn that. You're like, it's like we were saying too, like with just because a textbook says this, it doesn't mean it's going to
Yeah,
work for you. Like everything we've
exactly.
been
Yeah.
saying comes back
Yeah,
to that. Yeah.
it does.
Oh, I love that. Do you have like top 3 social media tips or marketing tips, whatever kind of comes to your mind? Do you have like a top 3 that you would say to
Ooh.
anyone out there, even if they're not an entrepreneur, they're just trying to maybe up their social game? Like, is there 3 top things that are very general? Because again, we know each person's different, but is
Mhm.
there a generalization?
This is really good. Okay, my first one would probably be consistency.
Hmm.
Again, but that looks different for everybody. So if consistency for you is once a week, that is no problem. But kind of create that and stick to it.
Yes.
Um, because then it's gonna just make you feel a lot better about it. You're gonna start getting into a rhythm. So then maybe it becomes twice a week, and then it just
Yeah.
gets easier with time. But and I mean consistency can be applied literally, like I just said, going to the gym and eating healthy in so
Hmm.
many areas, but it also is definitely very relevant in social media marketing.
Hmm.
So consistency would be one. I guess the other one would be because I've worked with a lot of businesses who are like, I want to be on all platforms. And I'm like, okay, let's reel it back a little bit. That's a lot of work for you to do. So it's like, where's your audience? I'm like, who are you trying to meet? So I always use this name Nancy. It's just this name I've used since I started the business.
Yeah.
I'm like, where is your Nancy hanging out? So your Nancy is your ideal customer or your ideal client. So where's your Nancy hanging out? Is Nancy 40 or 50 or 60 and loves to go on Facebook? Is Nancy 18 years old and doing TikTok dances? Is Nancy
Hmm.
scrolling Instagram, looking for the next best Lululemon legging dupe? So
Yeah.
you're kind of deciphering where is Nancy hanging out
I
and then
love that.
deciding, okay, this is where I'm going to focus my efforts. Obviously, we all have like you can have a wider range of demographic that you want to hit.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to necessarily be the 18-year-olds or the 65-year-olds, but when you're going to make this post, you're like, you click post and you're like, I hope Nancy sees this. Like, I'm
Oh,
posting this for Nancy to see.
I love
So that's,
that.
yeah, so that's kind of how I like to do, kind of thinking of where do you want to focus your energy? Well, you want to focus on it where Nancy is. So that would be
Yeah.
number two is think of Nancy.
Think of
And
Nancy,
then,
everyone.
yeah, and then number three, the human element would be number three. So
Mhm.
this is something I'm going to use an example. I've recently been talking with a restaurant business, their restaurant franchise. And we kind of go on, we look at their socials, and it's just all pictures of food. I'm like, trust me, your food's incredible. I was like, we go here all the time. But I was like, I want to see somebody eating chicken wings with sauce all over the face. Like,
Yes,
I
I
want to
love
see
watching people eat food. I know that's a weird thing, but I love it.
but it's like, I wanna see that, or I wanna see, like, the atmosphere of your restaurant, not necessarily your special of that day. So, bringing the human element into it, it creates emotion, it tells a better story, and honestly, even studies show that having the human element in your marketing, it will perform 30% better than stuff that doesn't have a
Woo!
human element to it. So, that is, like, something I've really been hammering to my clients right now is this human element and kind of bring it into their marketing wherever we can.
Oh, I love that. I like that you call it the human element too.
Yes.
It makes sense. I've never heard it like worded like that. I've heard different versions, but that just sits with me a lot better. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
that makes more sense to me. I get that. And it's so true because like I said, if I do watch people eating and stuff, it's like, oh God, that looks so good. Like, but it's
Right?
because they're making it look so good. Like, of
Yeah.
course, I love a
Like, you're
picture.
feeling that emotion of it. Yes.
Yes, yes, exactly. Oh God, and get me with the emotions any day. I'm like, yep, you got
Which
me.
really right now, and especially with social media marketing, there's so much on social media. So if you're not capturing the emotion of somebody, or if you're not educating somebody, informing them, entertaining them, you're getting lost in
That's right.
everything else. So
That's
yeah, just
right.
kind of playing on some ways, and again, people want authenticity on social media now. So again, somebody eating a chicken wing, that's authentic.
Yes, it
To me
is.
at least.
Sauce
That's not
everywhere. Yeah.
to me, the cookie cutter plate picture of the chicken wings or the person eating with sauce all over their fingers, yeah, I'm gonna take that. I
Yep.
That's gonna resonate with me so much more because I guarantee that's what I look like when I eat a chicken
Same.
wing. So, right, we create that connection. So, yeah, that would probably be number 3 for me is that human element.
I love that because that like it
Mhm.
encompasses so much. Like I love you said the word connection. Love that word. Love all of that because at the end of the day, what are we doing? I mean, of course, people are doing tons of things on social media, but the core value of what it was always supposed to be was connection.
Mhm.
So
Right?
that's hitting the nail on the head. I love
Exactly.
that. Wow. Okay. So, anyone listening who's an entrepreneur, you're welcome. You just got three really good tips there. Amazing. I'm like, my brain is buzzing, and I love when I feel like this with guests because it's just like everything in me is like, this was meant to happen today. This was meant to happen with this person. And I'm all about the universe. Everybody knows that. So, we should get some words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom would be done is better than perfect.
Woo!
I've
Yes.
really kind of been that's just been something I've kept in my brain, I guess, since I started this business because I am a perfectionist. But again, I with this authenticity on social media, and that's what people are craving. So done is better than perfect. Your hair might not look the best, your makeup might not be done, um, you might have a wedgie. I don't know. It's still done is better than perfect. And people are gonna really resonate with that and your brand and your business that way. So
Oh,
and
I
I mean,
love
you're right.
that.
Like it could be applied to literally anything in life too.
Legit.
Um,
Cause that's how I
but
even
yeah,
felt with this. I was like, this has been in my brain for years before I hit
yeah,
record. And I'm sure the loyal listeners are like, she's saying the story again, but it's so true. I eventually was just like, what are you waiting for? It's not going to be perfect
exactly.
right away. Just do it and you'll get better as you go. And I have. So I'm like,
Mhm.
what would have happened if I just
Same
kept
here,
holding back?
sister.
Right? Right?
Yeah,
And it's just going to keep getting better because why? We're consistent. We're going to keep doing the do. So I love those words of wisdom.
yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes. Let's plug in your social media website anyway. If anyone wants to
Mhm.
connect, if you resonated with Megan today, she's going to tell us how we can get in touch.
Absolutely. So my website's pretty straightforward. It's just megankozak.com. I will say my name is spelled weird. So
I'm
it's
going to
spelled
have it all linked, but yes, tell
yeah,
them how to
okay,
spell it.
perfect. Well, it's Meagan. And then last name is Kozak. So that's the website. Social media, I'm primarily on Instagram. That's just where I like to hang out.
Me too. That's
So
where our
yeah,
Nancy's were there. Yeah.
our Nancy's are there.
Yeah.
So my Instagram is hello Megan Kozak, and then our business one is Megan Kozak Media, and then we have Facebook as well, which would just be MK Media. So any of those,
Perfect.
I'm checking daily, probably a lot more than 10 times a day. So I would love to
Perfect.
see new people on there and connect with new people, and more than happy to always chat about this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, if you are listening via podcast, it'll be in the show notes. If you're on YouTube, it'll all be in the description box. So there'll be no trouble. You can click that link, go give her a follow, show support. We love to support a business,
Me
especially a
too.
woman run business, and my maritime girls. Like, I can't get enough. So give her some support. And like what it means to a small business person, it means
Mhm.
so much. Like, even a follow, a like, engagement, a comment, anything. You don't realize we do happy dances every single time that happens, because
Always.
it makes you realize all this hard work and this passion that I'm pouring into this.
Mhm.
It's worth it. Somebody is resonating with something. So it means
Mhm.
a lot.
Absolutely. No, and trust me, I do my happy dance over here.
Oh, yeah. She's doing it right now. If you're not watching, she's doing the happy dance. Well, thank you so, so much for coming on. I'm so grateful that you gave us your beautiful energy today. And I can't wait for everyone to hear this and hear all of the awesome knowledge that you've thrown our way. It's amazing.
No, I was so happy you asked me to do this. So thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. So, listeners, if you resonate with Megan, go over to her Insta, Facebook, give her a follow, give her a like, and also do the same with the podcast, of course. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. It helps just put us out there to the world. Same with
Mhm.
the pod. Give us a review. And of course, hit me up on social media anytime. The Tea with KG. I want to wish love and light to everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in on your Tea Time Tuesday, and we will see you next week.